And we're back on Second Street talking about charter schools. These are a type of publicly funded schools that parents can decide to send their kids to if they don't want to send them to local public schools. The difference being is that the government doesn't run these schools. And so we're talking with two founders today of different charter schools in Alberta. Caylan, before the break, we were talking about demand for charter school spaces or demand among parents to send their kids to charter schools versus the amount of actual spaces. Lisa mentioned that it's roughly about 2 to 1. For every charter school space that's available for a student, there's parents that would like, there's demand of 2. You were going to say something about in your own particular example with how many people want to send their kids to the schools that you have founded versus the actual supply of spaces. Would you care to share that with us?
Well, I think the most stark gap between supply and demand for us is in kindergarten, where we have 6 kindergarten classes across our 3 schools. We had enough demand this year that we could have filled 50 kindergarten classes. So it's enormous amount of untapped potential there, as Lisa mentioned.
Oh, I suspect that's directly tied to, as I mentioned, this growing frustration that Canadians have with the direction of the public school system. Many are looking for options. So that's not to say that everyone is upset, but certainly there seems to be a demand for alternative approaches to teaching. I mentioned at the beginning that we did this poll. We asked Canadians about what they're concerned about with the public school system. And the number one issue was that people feel that in the past 20 years, in terms of how public schools handle accountability and discipline matters, that things have gone in the wrong direction. A lot of parents in the survey responded that they're concerned that, say, kids don't fail. They're just shuffled along year after year without having to meet the requirements, that they're allowed to hand in papers late and not receive any late marks, that kind of thing. Caylan, could you just share with us maybe how your school might differ from the public school system when it comes to accountability and discipline issues?
Sure. So I think what you're capturing is there's a misapprehension among a lot of educators about what freedom means and about what compassion means. They think freedom means license, that it's somehow oppressive to the spirit of the student if you impose on them discipline and rules or hold them to high expectations, and then it's not compassionate. And we just have a totally different view. For us, the precondition for freedom is that you have to acquire within your own soul a capacity for discipline. And students actually love order. They love high expectations. They respond to it very, very well, and they sort of flail in the absence of it. Similarly, we don't think it's compassionate to students to pass them along from grade to grade when they haven't met a given academic standard. So I think we just have a very different understanding of what those things mean, and that translates into a very different school environment. So we're very ordered. Our students wear uniforms. They rise every morning to sing the national anthem. They sit straight in their desks, and they get, we sort of sweat the small stuff in discipline. And when you do that, you don't get big discipline problems.
Interesting. Lisa, I want to ask you about one of the other concerns that Canadians have with the public school system, and that is the prioritization of what schools are teaching. Many people have concerns that kids aren't spending enough time in class learning what they need to succeed once they're done in school. Does your school prioritize things in a different way?
Well, we do. I mean, so one of the things when you look at the provincial results, what you see is that they are not increasing, and by and large, they're fairly dismal. So, in Ontario, 50% of students don't meet the provincial standard on math. In Alberta, if you look at grade 9, it's a third of students don't meet the provincial standard. So parents are looking at this information, and they are watching their students struggle with a lot of supposed new fads around how instruction is delivered that is simply not working for their students. So you've had an explosion of tutoring, you've had an explosion of parents sitting down and needing to work through daily homework with their students. So when we take a look at what we prioritize, for us, we really prioritize those foundational skills. And our schools start in grade 7 to 12, so we're bringing students in who have varying degrees of success in other public boards. And so we actually have a program designed that ensures that we're bringing students up to grade level on some such as math, and English language arts, because those are the foundations. And then from there, we actually are overweighted in math and English language arts as a result, just to ensure we've got that time. And then we also move forward and address some of the unique programming needs we have within our program, where we have developed probably over 80 courses over the last 3 years, just because the curriculum is outdated. It's certainly outdated in the areas that we are focused on. And so we are have a serious commitment to ensuring that our STEM programming is leading edge.